I'm Danièle Hromek, and I'm a Budawang woman of the Yuin Nation, which is from the south coast of New South Wales. My work is really around cultural design and research and how to bring Indigenous perspectives and knowledge into built environment projects.
And you're amazing, and you have a PhD, and you're just a star. My name is Lynn Rees. I'm a Parlour woman descending from the Chorley people of northeast Tasmania and convicts from the Cambridgeshire region in England. Generally, everything I do is geared towards the long game of indigenising the built environment, and I have the honour of being able to do that on many platforms, including being co-chair alongside Paul Memmott of the AAA First Nations Advisory Working Group.
Too deadly.
I'll stop there.
So we are going to be doing a talk series called Deadly Djurumin Yarns, and we think it's going to be the first Friday of each month. Is that right?
I think that's wrong, actually, because the first Friday, no, that is right, because it's the same. No, okay, sorry person editing. Yes, that's right. First Friday of each month.
Deadly Djurumin and Parlour are delighted to present a series of yarns from the perspective of First Nations women. Join us for lively and frank conversations grounded in the experiences of Indigenous women working in the built environment professions, how to be excellent accomplices. We've moved on from allies, and how to work respectfully with country, community, culture, and Indigenous knowledges.
Accomplices, eh?
Have you heard that?
I
like accomplices. Because I don't only want somebody to stand next to me. I want sometimes them to stand behind me and push me forward. And sometimes I want them to stand in front of me when there's a bullet coming. So that's what...
partners in crime.
Yeah.
So quite often, Danièle and I and many other Indigenous women in the built environment are asked to speak. And quite often we're one of the only Indigenous people on the panel. And quite often we're not in control of the narrative of those conversations, other than a few circumstances like Black Architecture, for example, which I've had the privilege of curating for a while. And so we're really excited to work with Parlour on this series, because it means that we can talk about the things that we think are important that the profession knows. We get to guide that conversation and make sure that have some control over the narrative and who's going to be in the room and who we think everyone needs to hear from, because they've changed the way that we think about the profession, or they've impacted our way of thinking in some way. So it's in part about celebrating, it's in part about building up the younger people in the profession to make sure that they have a voice that they should and have every right to have, but also about making sure that sometimes the conversation might be very cultural or come from a place of Indigenous knowledge, and sometimes it might be very practical about how all these things are applied into the built environment, and sometimes it will be a crazy mess of the spectrum in between. But the point is that we wanted to create this talk series with Parlour to create our own little space for these conversations that's safe for us to have them, and in our own way, in our own time.
And it's going to have CPD.
Yes, that too.
Done.
Excellent. Done.